I don't know how to start this shit.
Cheers.
Oh, yeah, cheers. This is ICCU with Edgar Hoill, and second time around, but Julie, this is years into a really cool friendship and partnership, and this is an opportunity for everybody to learn kind of about you and your story because it's unique, and I just want to take that time and I mean to kind of kick it off, just tell me, who are you, what's your story?
Let's see, what's my story? So, born and raised in Guadalajara, Jalisco. I moved into Texas when I was 10 years old. Started doing photography at 16. So that's kind of like basically where my career of everything that I've done started, was basically in my middle school, high school years. So I started doing photography for different reasons. Mainly was so I could kind of be, I got into so much trouble while I was in school that my principal actually said, you know what, like, you're always getting into trouble when you're doing certain type of classes. They're like, we just want you to take nothing but art classes. So I took nothing but like art classes. I did carpentry, I did mechanic, and I did photography. So out of my 6 classes that I was supposed to take, 4 of them were actually like extracurricular. So I wouldn't get in trouble. So
They kept you out of what, math and science and history?
Well, actually, I was really good at history and English. That's pretty much what I had to take. Everything else I really didn't take, and that's basically because I got in trouble a lot during that time. Because I grew up in a pretty crazy neighborhood in Houston, so I was mainly based out of like gang-related stuff, a lot of poverty, a lot of different. I grew up in the neighborhood, and to keep me out of trouble, was my teachers were the ones who were like, hey, you do this, you can start busy. So they actually would send me home with like art supplies, with my cameras and stuff. So I wasn't really doing what I was normally doing to get in trouble, so I was just doing more artsy stuff. So I started shooting, a lot of stuff like in my neighborhood, like a lot of graffiti, a lot of the lowrider cars, a lot of drug-related stuff. So my photography teacher actually saw it, and she started putting me in like contests, like local like photography contests. Back then they were really popular, I started winning like a lot of stuff because a lot of my stuff was really like gangster, greedy, like stuff that people really normally wouldn't see back then. Mm-hmm. So it was really fresh to a lot of people. So I won like a lot of contests with the photography. I got a full paid scholarship to go to the Art Institute of Dallas. But when I came to try to figure that out, since I wasn't legal in the country, they revoked that scholarship. So I couldn't go to college. So at the college, I just started working. So I started shooting for a local lowrider magazine, which was called Old Times. That was in 2001. And then in 2002, I started working for Lowrider magazine as a freelancer, like in the Texas region. So I would travel all over Texas shooting cars and women for just the region. About a year, in 2004, one of the hurricanes, I forgot the name of the hurricane that hit, actually flooded the store that I was working at, and they didn't have flood insurance, so they went bankrupt. When they went bankrupt in 2004, I hit up my boss at the time, Ralph Fuentes, and be like, hey man, I need to do more work because I just lost my job. And they were like, well, just move to California. So I hit him up on Wednesday. On Friday, I was did that 24-hour drive to California to start working for them on Monday. When I got to California, LA, I would rent out a kitchen where I would sleep every day, and I did that for a year. And this is at somebody that I met, and they're like, hey, well, you can sleep in the kitchen. I mean, that's the only place you can sleep. And it was like a very small house. So at the time, I started doing more freelance stuff. I started shooting for other people, other magazines, started shooting advertising, trying to figure out how to make money to make things happen. So
now I understand that that kind of makes a transition into your own personal brand, that photography versus the Osock and what that means. And I know it's got kind of a cool story behind it too.
So the Osock name actually came out from, I had a project where I was shooting the billboards for the Heartbreakers, which is a strip club in Houston. For some reason, all the film we shot, I think maybe like 40 rolls of film, because it was for like the whole campaign for their flyers, for their billboards and stuff like that. And only one of the pictures got saved. And they actually used that for everything. The guy was like, man, one shot will kill you, fucking got it. Because we were really nervous, because everything got destroyed. So that's kind of where the name One Shot Will Kill came from.
So how do you go from the life of photography to the life of a widely industry respected, obviously in our small world, I mean, I don't know if you consider yourself a master blender. I don't know where you live within that realm, but how do you make that jump from a great photographer to a sensational cigar maker?
I consider myself a blender. I don't consider myself a master blender. I think I got a really long way to go. Obviously, I do want to reach that point, but I got a lot of time. I got a lot more to go to be even. I mean, even when somebody calls me a blender now, I still don't feel like I have like that title yet, because I think I still need to work more on it, do more blends and stuff like that. I started working for Christian Eiroa, and then with Christian, he started working with Matt Booth. So I was in charge of doing everything visual for the company, which was, Camacho, Room 101, Davidoff. So I started doing a lot of photography for them. So that's kind of like how I got into the industry of cigars, was because of Christian. So with Christian, he would give me leeway to do basically what I wanted, especially with those brands. After that, I started a brand. I did a One Shot One Kill under Davidoff. Then it just wasn't like my forte. I wasn't like comfortable. There were cool people that never did anything wrong to me, but it was just kind of like, it wasn't really me. So when Christian started doing his company, then that's kind of like where him and Tom Lasuka invited me to work with them, and that's where the One Shot One Q actually started blowing up. Because I started doing stuff with them. I didn't want to be known as a person that was just buying stuff from people. Like a lot of people in the industry, they just go and buy whatever they can buy, put their brand on it and blah, 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 and they sell it, but they have nothing to do with the blending process. I didn't want to be labeled as one of those persons. I actually wanted to learn and actually do the whole thing. So I moved out of the country to start growing tobacco so I could figure this stuff out. The Torrents found out that I was trying to do this, and I got invited to work with them. We're like, hey man, we need help with the US market, making blends for the US, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like very seamlessly, perfect. It's like going from trying to figure stuff out on myself to working with one of the biggest producers of Negro San Andres Maduro wrapper.
Would you classify that as kind of your palette, where you want your cigars to live?
I think my palettes mixture of a lot of different stuff, but it's basically, I'm really proud of being Mexican, and Mexican Negro San Andres is, I personally think, is one of the best tobaccos in the industry. There's a lot of the other tobaccos that I really like to work with, but I really enjoy working with that, especially because now we're in the process from growing it, from growing, fermentation, to rolling, to everything. I have my hands on everything now. And that's just kind of I worked with them for 3 years in Mexico, and I was running their factory, checking on pilones, making sure the tobacco was correct to be used and all that stuff. That's what I started making blends for them as well.
So then, understanding you have your own line, OSOK One Shot One Kill, which has, talk to me about kind of your blends that you have in there, or. I understand there's Cabroncito, there's the Osock Robusto, Osock Figurado, which we're blessed to have as an exclusive here. How does that kind of...
So when I did the release with Davidoff, all of them were Figurados and all had crazy names, So that's, the brand was kind of known as a Figurado or Ship Cigar brand. So when I released Osock with Christian, we released the Osock Nicaraguan, which is a Nicaraguan Puro. And in that sense, we released the Travieso, the Callejero, the Desmadroso, and the Cabron. And then when we did the Petit Corona, we called it Cabroncito, because that's basically, that name came from what I call my nephew.
Which in English is?
Little fucker. Because he was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So I would call him that, and then that's kind of like where the 44x4, the Petit Corona, the name Cabroncito came from.
There is, in my biased opinion, there is no better cigar for a cup of coffee in the morning than Cabroncito. I think it's just perfect.
Yeah, so short smoke. It's a 30-minute smoke. You can enjoy it pretty much any time of the day. But that cigar, it's funny you say that, but that cigar was actually, that was the cigar that I was smoking in the factory. I made it just for myself. It was not intended to be released, and that's where that came from.
And so with your kind of, we'll call it your standard, but your OSOK Robusto, what is that blend?
So with the OSOK Robusto, the Torrens family, they also own the brand Te Amo, so that's what they're known for. So it's like 100% Mexican tobacco. I wanted to do something that was 100% Mexican. So I was able to find, since I was in the factory, I was able to kind of like mingle with all the tobaccos, like mess around with all the tobaccos that we had. So the OSOK Robusto is actually Negro San Andres, Habano San Andres in the fillers. The binder is Banda Clara San Andres, and then the wrapper is Negro San Andres Colorado wrapper that I personally grow just for that.
Okay.
So it comes from our fields.
So what's next for OSOK? What's next for you personally? What's your kind of vision as you move forward?
Working with Terrence has been really, really good. They actually just merged with another company called Chazaro, which is another Mexican company. So they're kind of helping each other out with the tobacco growing. Not helping each other out, but kind of like growing certain tobacco that they're gonna exchange, I guess.
Okay.
So like if somebody needs Negro San Andres and he has Habano San Andres, if they need it, they'll trade it. So that's kind of like where that marriage came in. So now I'm gonna start helping the Chazaro brand, where I'm actually gonna start helping them do blends for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you help with the Turin side of things when it comes to blending?
We have a lot of blends already pre-made. Including the 1880 Black, the Lancero that I did for you guys, the Osock, the 1901, 1973, 1942, the gold, blue, and
the
white.
Origin series?
And the Origin series also did 2 of those blends. So
Really?
I really didn't want to come back to the States, but my mom retired, so she kind of needed somebody to help her out around the house because she can't drive anymore. And then at the same time, my daughter was going to graduate, so I would have to go from like San Andres to Houston back and forth, maybe like every 2-3 weeks. So it wasn't really worth it for me to be living in Mexico and doing all these trips. So that's when I told Alejandro, it's like, hey, you know what, I gotta go back, because to me, family always comes first. So I really didn't want to leave, but I had to do that for my family. I just was like, fuck it, why not just become the sales rep and just help you guys out? Because they tried different sales reps, they tried brokers and stuff, and I don't think the people really understood the brand. Like they didn't have the passion for it the way I do, because I lived it. I was there like 2.5, almost 3 years.
Well, it's something that like you've been kind of the little bit of the story behind. We brought in Casa Turan first, smoked the 1880. The original 1880 Maduro, loved it so much and understood the ability of that wrapper, so we bullshitted around and said, well, why don't you just make that in a Lancero and then make it only for us?
Yeah.
Any other line would have just laughed and moved on, but then 2 weeks later, you walk in the door with the bag of 1880 Lanceros, said, here they are. How many do you want to do?
Yeah.
And that was a creation of that, and it just showed us that it was like a family bond.
Well, I think it was kind of like a natural thing, because when I started doing business with you guys, then you guys had just started. So my natural instinct is to always help somebody out. So that was one of the reasons I did the Lancero fairly quick, because I really wanted to do a Lancero, but certain people don't believe in it, which I do. So it was just like when you guys told me that you wanted to do a Lancero, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm on it. Like, I'll do it right away, because I really wanted to do a Lancero on that blend.
And I don't know how many thousands of those we've sold so far.
Yeah, I sold a lot.
But we've sold a lot, and we're going to continue to sell a lot. And I look forward to many new projects we have. And depending on when someone watches this, it may be out. But we have, something exciting coming with the cease and desist, and that is only would be the third kind of project that we work together. But we have nothing but the intention to continue to grow this relationship, because it's just.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's fun. It feels like family. I get excited every time you walk in the door. Everyone else does as well. It's just what you have to say we trust.
Yeah.
And
appreciate
well, likewise. I mean, I appreciate everything that you've done, and I like having someone else that's 100% tapatio, like my wife. From
not as cute as her, but okay. I don't know how I should take that, but all right. Maybe I should move a little further.
Just take another drink, yeah? But with that, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done and everything we're going to do together. And if anyone wants to know more about your brand, where do they go? How do they?
Instagram, man. I'm very low key on everything I do. Like, I really don't post as much stuff as I should. Because I don't know, man. I'm not that guy, I guess. I do post a lot of stuff on OSOK Cigars on my Instagram. But it's mainly like cigars, fishing, and cars, and photography. I mean, it's fairly simple.
That's awesome. Yeah. So for anyone who is interested, please give them a follow. Edgar is one of the greatest people we've been able to meet in this industry, and a relationship we truly value. So with that, I say cheers, and
cheers, man.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Salud.
Yeah.